Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. What's so unique about money is that the simple subject of it can bring up so many different emotions and different feelings. It really runs the gambit of, uncertainty and scarcity and shame, all the way up to abundance, feeling like you're thriving, feeling like the world is your oyster, and everything in between. So what's really special is when you can find people who can speak to anyone on the spectrum, anyone who is feeling shame around money or who views it as a limiter as opposed to a tool to drive them forward. And one of the unique things that I love and respect about our guest is her ability to do exactly that, to talk to any entrepreneur and never come from a place of judgment or from a place of, you should know this. So I'm really, really excited to welcome onto the show today my friend, Bridgette Boucha. Bridgette is a speaker, writer, and a fractional CFO who advises from her lived experiences as an entrepreneur. Her soulful approach to money mentorship and personal empowerment has helped hundreds of business owners simplify their money, build confidence in their numbers, and map out their profitable business fuller life model. She truly believes that you can have a profitable business and a fuller life. You do not have to choose. And that's one of the things I love about her. And she has a new book coming out called Money Queen, which you should absolutely check out if you consider yourself someone who wants a more soulful approach to their money and wants things broken down in a simple way they can understand. So without further ado, let's talk to Bridgette. Hey, Bridgette, welcome to the show.
Hey, Shannon. Thank you. It's great to be here.
And thank you for being here. Could you just say hi to everyone listening and let them know who you are?
Hello, listeners. My name is Bridgette Boucha. I'm a fractional CFO located in Atlanta, Georgia. I serve scaling entrepreneurs all over the US and some global communities as well. And I'm a speaker, writer, and just overall seeker of expansion. So I'm excited to be here and share some things with you.
And I'm excited to have you here. I know that we have a lot in common in our paths and a lot in common in what we do and who we love to serve. Let's be honest. Who do you serve primarily in the market?
Yeah, I agree. I'm so excited to jam with you because we do bring different perspectives of similar backgrounds. And so the audience kind of gets a 2-for-1 here. So yeah, I serve scaling entrepreneurs. So basically multi-6 to 7-figure business owners, whether they're pre-revenue, scaling their existing established business, or even seeking funding, financial packages for build out and expansion. So there's kind of a variety. I don't really have an industry niche. It's more related to the business owner. Are you coachable? Are you excited? Are you passionate? Are you really looking to create aligned financial strategies so your business can scale, you don't burn out, and you can live this exciting life that you've envisioned for yourself? Because when we go into entrepreneurship, we have a vision. It's just a matter of understanding if our business is actually supporting it.
So I love that you have a unique approach to your CFO practice. And I know you go by the Soulful CFO. Can you talk about how you've incorporated soulfulness or some of that mindset element into what you do and how you kind of coach your clients through the money side of business?
Yeah, it's a great question. I came from a professional environment, right? World where soulful was not a word that was used often, if at all. And so when I got out into entrepreneurship, I realized that as a business owner, there's so many things that can come up for us related to money. And if you have certain relationship with money, it's only going to be amplified when you go into entrepreneurship and business ownership. So what I found was the approach that I like to take was a little bit of a softer one to at least start. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I serve are not used to having conversations about money. In fact, it's the shit that they avoid. And they're now realizing that this is such a critical part of their business and the success and longevity of their mission that they have to start talking about it. So I'd like to ease them in a little bit. I want to ask about them. What matters to them? What lights them up? What do they love doing about their business? What are they doing this for? Because money ultimately is the bridge. It's the tool that will help you get there. It'll help you make a bigger impact, help more people, build long-term personal wealth, take care of your kids, take care of your family, allow you to travel. So when you disconnect some of those past stories that might be around money. Commonly, I hear things about I've been in debt before, I have fear around money, or it feels mysterious, or I have some shame. Maybe I'm not worthy. And it's shifting those to be able to say, money represents potential and possibility. Think how much good I can do in the world with it. And so starting with the emotional side, the energetic side, we'll get to the tangible, we'll get to the transactional, but starting there, it helps shift the relationship so that these business owners can go forward and say, I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm not selfish because I want to make more money. I am not unworthy because of my past story. I am here right now to be able to say, how do I take this life? How do I take this business and incorporate it into my mission so that I can actually make a bigger impact on the world and feel really good about it, feel compensated for it. And that's really the shift that I like to take, rather than saying, here's your P&L. Like, we'll get there, but not on day one.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's about having that foundation, because you have to have some type of approach to money that is going to serve you and serve your future. Because if you don't have a good mindset around money, or you don't see money as a tool to help you succeed, but instead something that will limit you, then no P&L, no balance sheet, no cash flow forecast in the world is going to help you manage your money. Would you agree?
Totally agree. And it's a part of the process, but it's not the whole thing. And that's what I love about your approach as well, is just the metaphors that you use and the way that you're able to communicate about finances to a business owner who might otherwise have not really understood what was being shared with them because it just hadn't been common knowledge. It hadn't been common language. It just, it wasn't part of their rituals.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you say rituals. Okay. You use this word a lot, and it's like a word that's basically not in my vocabulary. This is kind of funny. So what do you mean by rituals when it comes to money? Because I found this concept really interesting as I was kind of going over what you cover in your book. Let's talk about rituals. And I know I just skipped to probably the fourth R in your framework. So I want to make sure, how do rituals come into the play when it comes to money and business?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'd love to go there because I think, a lot of times and this is part of the soulful part of it, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it habits, you can call it activities, you can call it something, but a ritual, by nature is something that you do repeatedly. And I like to take the soulful approach of calling it a ritual so that that's what it feels like. So I, have talked about a monthly money date, for example. So if you're just getting started, you're an entrepreneur out there and you're really just not looking at your numbers, maybe you don't even have a bookkeeper yet, or you aren't in a position to hire a fractional CFO like Shannon or I yet, there's still a relationship to be built there. And a monthly money date's a way to do that. So I say, make it a ritual, get it on your calendar, set your space, light a candle, pour a beverage, play some music, open all the tabs, log into all the things, make it something that's repeatable and remove the barriers for yourself. And so what I mean by rituals really is the activities, right? So if you change your rituals, you will change your results in everything, not just money included. So why not incorporate it across the board? Make it a date. Treat your money the way, like she's a queen, right? Treat her accordingly. And I think just getting eyes on it, getting used to looking at the numbers, getting familiar with what activities and what rituals will change the results will really help you get there. I mean, I always say what gets measured gets changed. And in this case, your activities and your behaviors, they matter.
I totally agree. And it's about giving attention to the things that deserve the attention. And I do believe that if you avoid things, it only exacerbates problems or creates problems. I think it's so funny in an ironic way that a lot of business owners come to me, as I'm sure they do with you, thinking they are the biggest hot mess cluster F in the world. And they're really not. I'm like, I can clean this up in 2 hours. It's totally fine. Or I can fix this, no problem. Don't worry. You're stressing yourself out over nothing. And it's like, I've been stressing myself out for 6 months, a year, whatever it may be, thinking that this was an insurmountable amount of work, or this huge thing, and I'm going to go to jail over it or whatever. And I got one IRS letter, I think I'm going to jail. And that can hold people back from the smallest action that will completely resolve it. And I think there's just a ton of this monster under the bed idea. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a mouse moving around, but because you're not looking at it, you think it's a monster.
I love that we have a similar analogy in that. So a lot of people, you talk about avoidance and, we want to take the shift from avoidance to abundance and whatever that is defined by you. But that avoidance, and I agree with you, some people aren't looking at their money. You can't really change your money story if you're not looking at it. So I say you got to look the money monster in the face and then make her prettier over time. Right. But you can't You just can't do it without looking at it. And so I love that analogy, that metaphor that you're using, because that fear, we just need to reduce that fear for people and let them know, like you said, this is how you're perceiving your situation to be. And I'm here to tell you from an outside lens, looking in from an expertise angle at your financials and what your numbers are telling you about your business, that you're doing pretty damn well. And you've got to give yourself some credit. And now you're just up leveling. Part of being that next level leader is knowing your numbers, using your numbers, understanding what levers to play with in order to become more profitable, right? And those are things that I get excited about. It's empowering. That's what you want to feel as a business owner. Money's not going anywhere, thankfully. So the sooner that you can get this relationship built up and this education and empowerment around your numbers and your finances, the sooner you can grow it confidently.
Absolutely. So when you wrote your book, which is coming out tomorrow, I'm really excited about that. Can you just go through, I know you have a copy there, don't you? Show us, what's the title? What's the name of it?
So the title is Money Queen. It is a financial framework for soulful entrepreneurs to run a profitable business while living a fuller life. And it's coming out, as Shannon said, tomorrow, which is September 12th. And, I really am excited about getting this in the hands of entrepreneurs. I couldn't have written this book 4 years ago. Part of learning and understanding entrepreneurship is being one. I've been an entrepreneur. I wasn't always. I grew up in corporate America. I left about 7 years ago. I stumbled and fumbled for a few years trying to figure it out on my own. And then things started to shift and I was really able to clarify my message and help more people. And it's through helping those people and understanding some of the patterns and getting them shifted into these financially empowered entrepreneurs who feel guided, who feel supported, who are able to really make their money work for them. It's through that I've been able to develop these strategies and put them into a framework. And I can help more people that way, right? I'm a fractional CFO. I can't help everybody, right? And so I think what was really important was to be able to put it all in one place, get it into the hands of the people that, are at that season of their business that might need a little reminder of, hey, I'm building a business, but, it's really not allowing me to support the life that I want. When I started, I really thought I wanted XYZ, but now I've created this business that is bigger than me and I don't have the right team to support it, or I don't have the systems in place. And, that's all part of your financial strategy. And this is a great starting point because it's a guide. You can take it with you to the beach. You can take it on a plane. It's very, it's a good size book. It's digestible. And I just can't wait for everybody to read it.
Yeah. And I love, if you had to, I know you said it was for the soulful entrepreneur, but tell me about somebody who's reading this book. Where are they at? Who is it written for? Like when you were writing, who are you picturing reading this book and how did that motivate you to write it?
Yeah, it's, how you have like this hybrid of all these experiences that you've had. And I think of all the clients that have gone through our process and been with us for the last few years and just the transformation that they've had. And the main qualities for this individual is this is somebody who is passionate about their business. They've got their marketing dialed in. They're generating revenue. This is not probably you have to have the resource of money in order to manage it. So it's somebody that's generating consistent revenue and looking to take that next step to be able to say, okay, I have a proven concept. I have clients. I am now looking to build this bigger and scale it. But I want to do it in a way that really aligns with what I want out of life, because that is where a lot of financial strategies fall flat. I can build you a financial model that will take your business to the moon. You might burn out in the process. What if it does not support? What if you have kids? What if you like to travel? What if, you have some other obligations or personal commitments or bucket list items that, this business is building this giant machine. And it certainly at some point is going to feel unaligned to you or misaligned to you if we don't go through the full process. So this book is for that person who's saying, look, I'm ready. I want to improve my relationship with money. I'm done with this. It's no longer a mystery. I'm taking the reins. I want to see this fully through. And it's for different seasons because we all evolve, and so do our goals, and so do the life we want, and so does the seasons of our business. And I think it's just really timely for a lot of people because a lot of businesses have been born in the last few years with the pandemic, and voluntarily or involuntarily, people have been putting their dreams into reality and using the business as the vehicle to deliver it.
Yeah. And I love that we share a similar ethos on the idea of not just having it be about pure growth in a business or financial gain, that there are other elements that you have to consider, the actual goals of the founder. I can't tell you how many accountants just kind of have this one track cookie cutter mindset of, well, whatever it takes to grow revenue or whatever it takes to grow profitability. And while those things are well and good, what does the owner actually want? Because more times than not, when you really unpack the goal of the founder, I've asked maybe 5 different ways before I get to the root of what the actual goal is. And the actual goal is usually, I want to pick up my daughter every day from school. I want to send my kid to college. I want to not go into debt. I want to, X, Y, and Z. I want to take extra days of vacation. I want to travel the world. And in order to do those things, yes, there is a financial component, but sometimes the goal is not about adding more things to do or adding more financial gain. It's about actually adding constraints and actually figuring out how can we do the same thing we've been doing with less time in the business or less burnout. And that's a huge part of what we do. Are you doing the same thing with your clients?
Yeah, it's reminding them, I think a common thing that I'm seeing in our, world of entrepreneurs is we are all just really fiercely committed to personal development and professional growth and mentorship and containers and masterminds. And that I'm a product of that. Like I absolutely will sing the praises all day long. And I will also do just a warning out there that sometimes you get in those rooms and you lose sight of your goals because it's just bigger is better, growth is better, 7 figures is sexy. And sometimes that might not be true for you and what you want out of it. And so my takeaway for you is no revenue goal is worth your peace. And so you just have to constantly be looking at it and saying, am I chasing somebody else's dream or is this truly what I want? What is my version of success? What feels right? Because success is really, it can't be seen because it's a feeling. So whatever I could put on Instagram for you and I can look happy, it doesn't matter, right? It's got to be how I feel when I look at in the mirror at night before I go to bed. Was this a good day? Why was it a good day? Did I surround myself with good people? Shannon and I are like, did we accomplish the things that we set out to do? We're very much list people. And, I think that's the thing to recalibrate sometimes. And I do think if there's a gift that came out of the pandemic is a lot of us recalibrated our lives and kind of went on an elimination diet of activities. And hopefully we're really mindful about what we added back that wasn't really serving us.
Yeah, I completely agree with that for sure. And like you said, a lot of businesses were born in the pandemic, and also it allowed us to recalibrate to those goals and say, what do I actually want? And hit a little bit of a reset button on all our routines. And speaking of that, I want to talk with you about what types of, I know you mentioned the money date, but other types of habits or routines or other elements that you encourage your clients to do that will help them get into a better mindset around money.
Yeah, I put some resources in the book about your money story, and I shared certainly a lot of personal experiences for me, because I think sometimes, Shannon, do people always think, oh, you're good with numbers. You were always good with numbers. And I don't think that's always the case. Where do we teach from? It's either because we've learned ourselves and solved a problem on our own, or, we've helped other people solve the problem, or both. And so Money Story is the first section of the book that really comes through to be able to help you identify yours, because they come from various areas. It's your upbringing, your household, the language that was used around money. It's your current experiences. If you've been in and out of debt or back into debt, that shapes your money story. And then also who you surround yourself with today. What are they saying about money? And how does that, if anything at all, because it can be a very taboo topic in this country, particularly, to even discuss money. So if you're not talking about it at all, that's not healthy either. So the money story part is really a place to start so that you can understand, how is this going to show up in my business and how could it potentially limit me? Pricing, worthiness, those come up a lot. There's two types of business owners I've found, Shannon. It's like, I generate the revenue and it's burning a hole in my pocket. Like I spend it as quickly as I receive it. Or I'm generating it and I'm kind of hoarding it on the far end of the spectrum, and I'm afraid to spend it because I don't know how long it can last or if I'm going to be okay. And somewhere in the middle of those two, you'll find peace. And that's where your financial strategy comes into play.
Totally. And you mentioned pricing, and that's actually a really good topic, because that's something that comes up a lot with clients is, increasing pricing or finding the right pricing structure. That's something that even accountants struggle with, right? Everybody struggles with this. What are some of your tips for business owners, and how do you coach people through the pricing conversation?
Yeah. So pricing is absolutely, listen up, any entrepreneurs, because I know this is on everybody's mind. There's a section in the book on pricing strategies for this very reason, because it does come up a lot. There's a cost that for what you offer. Sometimes it's clear and sometimes it's not, right? So if we're service based and we're using our brains and our expertise, there's still a cost associated with that, even though it's not tangible like you would have it with a product. But there's the value on top of that. And that's the difference between what it costs you and the value that you're extending to get to your sell price. And the value is the part that gets really hard to identify. But what problems are you solving? Are you giving people time back? Time's invaluable. Are you setting them up with something like a machine that they can use, like a workflow that they can use for the duration of their business that's going to allow them to increase the customer experience and convert clients faster? And I mean, there's so much value in that. And so I would encourage you to really look at what that value is going to be for that person. And if somebody has, a lot of times people will say, well, I looked around at what other people are charging and I just don't know if I'm there yet, or I don't know that my audience can sustain a price increase because, of the economy or whatnot. And my pushback is of two things. If your audience is not in a position where you feel you can increase your prices because you're not matching the value that you're putting out there, either you need a new audience or you need to reduce your costs and do it fast. You just need to do it more efficiently, right? So somehow you've got options. You've just got to figure out what levers you can play with. So that's one pricing strategy, is to really identify that value. Another pricing strategy that I love to use is, when anchor pricing is where you have a comparative. So if Shannon comes to me and says, hey, I've got this course that I'm offering that's, $1,000. And if that's the only thing that I have, $1,000 might seem high for me, right? But what if I say, oh, but you can also do one-on-one with me and it's $2,500. And that's for the person that really wants one-on-one attention, but the course is more of a do it on your own. Okay, now I've got a comparison, something to be able to say, well, $500 looks super attractive now to me because $2,500 is out of my range. And you know what? If I see that one-on-one's for me, then Shannon, just gave me an option and told me the higher ticket price because I know that I want that one-on-one attention. So I like to be able to give options so that you can drive people to what feels best for them. And it's not just this standalone, random pricing. The other thing with pricing is, if you're launching or doing things like early bird, encourage giving bonuses instead of discounts, but sometimes discounts are a really great way to fill your courses and fill your containers. So those are three things that I think have come up a lot for me. You're one client away from confidence at that pricing, and you'll never unsee it again. So I would encourage you not to be fearful of it. It's got to be an equal energy exchange. You have to feel compensated for the amount of time, energy, and expertise that it takes you to fulfill whatever the engagement requires. It took you a long time, likely, to figure all these things out, to help somebody quickly. Like Shannon said, hey, I can clean this up in 2 hours. Somebody else has been stewing on it for a year because they don't have the time, expertise, resources to do it. It took Shannon a while to be able to build the team, figure out all the things, the shortcuts. That is value. Everybody just wants their time back. I don't know about you, but when I hire someone, I want to feel held. I want to know what's next. I want to know that I don't have to think about it. I want a plan in front of me. And that goes for any industry, anything that you can possibly put out there for an offer. People want to feel held. How can you do that?
Yeah, I love that. I love that you phrase it that way. And, it's my belief too, because I think that people, like you said, we're considered the quote unquote numbers people, right? We're always called numbers people. Like, oh, you're good with, how many times have you been told, oh, you must have been good at math? And quite frankly, I wish I had a psychology degree to do this job.
Yep.
I was decently good at math, but I've never used algebra or calculus in this job. It is plus and minus. It's just two directional, and spreadsheets do it all for me anyway. So I could have been really crappy at math, but my point being, when you're talking about pricing, I actually think pricing is about psychology and behavior 90% and like 10% the math of it, 10% the just make sure you're profitable. That's the easy part. But I think the psychology and the behavior is the hardest part. And although we are numbers people, we are accountants by profession, there is a lot that goes into that to be of a strategic mindset to understand that element of it. Do you agree?
Yeah. And, I think, one of the things that Shannon and I believe to be true and put into our work, I can just tell in the conversations that we've had, is there is that emotional aspect of it. And we want to make sure that you feel like when you're talking about your numbers and you're talking about your finances, and you're talking about your pricing, that we're able to hold space for you at a different level than something that's just transactional. It's very relationship based. I mean, we're having conversations with business owners about money, which is the shit they don't talk about. We have to hold that safe space and understand that we're here to meet you where you are so that we can then raise your baseline. So, that's the one thing I think that's really important for all of us to understand as we are looking for relationships like fractional CFO relationships or any team members is, how do we basically rise together from whatever point is our starting point? And you just can't do that when you're not digging a little deeper.
And in talking about that, it's why we take the approach that we do, like you said, from a relationship standpoint. But I think what a lot of people are doing is, and there's nothing wrong with this, is you're looking for the solution to the immediate problem of, I need a bookkeeper because I just need the books done to get the taxes done. Like the end goal is the minimum compliance requirement, so everyone's hiring a financial professional with the end game of checking the box that taxes were done so they stay out of trouble. And I think where we shift into that strategy mindset, who was it? I was recently talking to, actually it was Ryan Pineda, and he has this kind of like earners versus savers mindset. And he says, if you're a savers mindset, you're basically just trying to stay out of trouble, maybe save money in taxes, which is not a problem. But you're focused so much on I need to hold on to what I have, and I need to just keep it all. And I need to make sure that, I'm compliant and that I'm staying out of trouble, versus the earner's mindset on the other side of the spectrum, which is kind of trying to out-earn their way through it or be able to create something new, create new businesses, create new income streams, and essentially not worry too much about those types of problems, again, while being compliant, but also not making that the end goal. The end goal is I want to grow, I want to scale. And in the process, yes, I will have to do some compliance stuff. But I think people are stopping too short on getting things done for the sake of taxes getting done and for the sake of checking the box versus for the sake of their actual big, audacious goals.
Yeah. And I want to really clarify and hone in on, when you implement a financial strategy, you bring on a financial or a fractional CFO or team, it goes through a business cycle to get you current, right? If you're doing things like just checking the box to get taxes done, that means you haven't implemented any tax strategy in the current year. So you're actually paying using almost new funds and you kind of feel behind. And so a lot of times what we'll see with business owners is it takes a full year of a tax cycle to be able to start to implement some of those changes. And I went through this too as an entrepreneur. I scaled a couple of years ago faster than I had thought. And then I had to do a catch up. So I'm not only paying, for last year's tax, obligation, but also funding this year's and 401k and different, retirement vehicles. And it gets really exciting when you surround yourself with your financial success team, who is your CFO, your bookkeeper, your financial advisor on the personal side, your CPA, and everybody's firing on all cylinders. And they're like, wow, I'm team business owner. How can we support you? How can we all look through our really specific expertise lenses and make sure that you're covered on all of those things? You're not checking the box after the fact. You're proactive. And that's something that I think is really exciting. And it's a problem I solve for myself. So why wouldn't I then say, oh, I feel so empowered about doing this on my own? How can I then in turn give that feeling to other business owners? So yeah, it's dead on. There's so many different aspects to it. And there are people like us that are designed to help you through it. Don't try to do it all on your own. We're just not meant to.
Yeah, I agree. My silly, blunt answer to this always is, if you could do it yourself, I wouldn't need a 4-year degree in an exam I passed over 6 months. Like, it is hard. There is science behind it. Like, it actually, like, you wouldn't YouTube how to do your own surgery, but you're doing that to your business. You're YouTubing your way through your tax return. I just talked to someone yesterday who said, yeah, I tried Googling my way through doing my taxes. And I'm like, with all due respect, I paid a lot of money for a degree so that shouldn't be possible. So when you think about it, it's like, there's a reason why the professionals exist and they should be there to help you. And if you're deterred from hiring a professional, then that's a really interesting thing to unpack, is why. And maybe it's just not the right person that is there to serve you. You do have choices when it comes to your accountant. It doesn't have to be your dad's guy, the guy down the street, or whatever. You have a complete choice in who you hire and who you choose to surround yourself with. And that's a big message I have for business owners too, because they feel like they have this sort of obligation to go with the most like the accountant in proximity, if you will, as opposed to the one that they're going to hire with intention. All right. So Bridgette, how can folks find out more about the book, how to get a hold of it, and when it's coming out?
Yes, so exciting. So it is officially launching and available on Tuesday, September 12th, which is tomorrow, on Amazon. You can also go to bridgetteboucha.com for more details. There's going to be a lot of resources that accompany this. I really want you to feel guided. I want you to feel held, and I want you to feel empowered once you get this book into your hands.
And I have no doubt you will if you guys pick up a copy. The links will be in the show notes. Bridgette, thank you always for these conversations and for jumping on the show today. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me. Let's just keep doing all the good that we're doing in the world. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for all the business owners. And thanks for listening.
Awesome. Thank you. If you're a business owner who's been listening to this show, but you want a little bit more personalized advice and you want to pick my brain on your business and get your own financial strategy in place, well, I'm excited to announce that I'm now offering CFO power sessions for business owners who want help translating what their numbers are trying to tell them, but don't necessarily want the support of an ongoing fractional CFO. If you're interested, submit a request using the link in the show notes. I only accept a limited number of spots per month, so make sure you jump on it and submit right now. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.